is Mueller's administration office, Mueller's J. Mueller administration, Amy Mueller, and also there's Mumu and Ganges in the series attachment to the J. Mueller. Of course, the Mueller administration, the presidential primary election, and also the official COVID executive orders that coefficient and deliberately compost and expose the services, the COVID-19 policy regulations and services they have in the administration office. They have the COVID-19, they have the policy and regulation services, the services employed, national increments of the society of the increments of presidential primary election payment receives, and transaction manifest reports referencing on taxables and non-taxables and assets and accessories of all the flanges, and also the accessories for the caskets, urns, and manifest for cardboard box, $100, crate, $500, casket, $5,000 to $10,000. Mausoleum installments for the increments of society. They carry the mausoleum east and west side of the niches. Carries a $10,000 increments for installing the casket, the body, and if it's an urn, you got a pond. You got outlook on Union. You got outlook on mausoleum niches. You got outlook inside the Pentagon administration off the flag post. This is just a glimpse preview of Mueller's funeral home on 10th and Union, carrying the COVID-19 policy and regulation and services. Presidential primary election, carry the COVID-19 policy and regulation services. And the services they have for the administration office: certificate of the birth, certificate official Nebraska and Texas, and also Richland, Kennewick. And the services they provide for the increments of society, carrying the processing plant, and also increments of society of breaking down the foundations of the Mueller's funeral home. Originated Nebraska and Texas originated. Mueller, J. Mueller, and also Mueller Administration Office carry the COVID-19 policy regulation. George Washington House carry the COVID-19 policy regulation and service, applying the George Washington Foundation that carries the COVID-19 policy regulation and service. George Washington inherited thousands upon thousands, millions upon millions of acreage that carries COVID-19 policy regulation service. Cotton fields, plantation, long time ago, Mueller's funeral home, 1401, and Greenlee Memorial, Court Street, and also Riverside, and also Chapel Falls, and that's Dayton and Kennewick Avenue. Used to be weeds, just like fields of potato fields and corn fields, cotton fields. The station office carry the COVID-19 policy regulation services. The Pentagon, the Array Service, they carry the increments of society. 21 gun salute location of the Forest Lawn. There's Glendale, Roseville, Parkhurst, Rest Haven, and many more. Services they got for Fairyland expansion for their service. You got more area, more vast development for further increments for the society in the future. COVID-19 policy regulations. Mueller Search Stations, 1401 South Union. J. Mueller, Amy Mueller, and also Mumu Ganja, and the service of the primary presidential luncheon of VOC, EVANKA, and Mr. Donald Trump He wants to do a lawsuit, and he's doing a lawsuit. Got the first and last name, Facebooks, and also accessories and attachments to the COVID-19 policy regulations, and also the abstract and credit history that goes out. $50, $60 years, and so forth, and attachments array to their services, city developments, and also the service of the new development that carry the COVID-19 policy regulation, recovering information on the database. Many people come here for increments of society to turn over a dispute, change their lives, and manifest and render records. Increments of installing their caskets, their urns in space, and also majority of their increments of society. Social Security Office, 8131 Klamath, Cincinnati, Kennewick, Washington, 99336. So that's natural cascade propane line, water line, bent PUD, and Richland. Services they got for deinterment, which means remove the entire body out of the grave site and take it and return it to the other grave site for the same opportunities available for the next grave site. And they carry a COVID-19 policy regulation services. We got some angles. Andy Miller is a prosecutor, Washington State, 509-735-3591. Prosecutor, Washington State, prosecutor of Benton County Justice Department is Andy Miller. Sole interpreter and ownership and service, Mrs. Andy Miller, carry COVID-19 policy regulation. The certificate is original. It's from Texas and Nebraska. The entire state of Nebraska and entire state of the 50 states have been determined for the services and endowments that they have for the Mueller's Administration Office. George Washington certificate number 146972 carry the COVID-19 policy regulations. The document is a second original Mueller's Administration Office, original father and son administration and co-owner and services they have. Bank statements, and I have inquiries for the Society of U.S. Bank, Chase Bank, Bank of America, Key Bank, Federal Reserve, and 3 locations, Gage, and 8131 Klamath, Cincinnati. They carry a lengthy, stiffy sentence for increments of society for anybody that has vast knowledge or increments of society of any kind of intangibles that serves the Society Administration Office, carrying the vast document, original document that overturned and prosecuted and administrated and sent people into a turmoil of COVID-19 policy regulations. It's original document. Signature, proposed services, increments, typing increments. The graduating certificate, the manuscript, the military status certificate, the original document. It's a military status and uniform universe, NATO admirals and the services and the society and the administration office. This is the original document. This is worth a lot of money. Somebody walking with it, falsifying documentation in Facebook, falsifying first and last name, falsifying Mueller Administration Office, falsifying the information that they have in society. A long time ago, there used to be weeds all around this area. This never used to be a brick. It never used to be a vaulted vault urn or a Federal Reserve or a ship. You know, the Liquor Subs Aviation Campaign and Mr. J. Mueller, United States Air Force, and the Service Endowment and Care and Services. The vault, the keys, the society carries the COVID-19 policy regulation. You know, rotation of the body and the arteries to stop the clogging arteries, and also the flotation of the oxygen that goes into the lung and the heart and the main arteries, and putting a diaper on Jay Mueller, and put a diaper on Roberta, and put a diaper on Lola Hernandez. Putting a diaper on Samuel Hernandez, which went to the grave sites here, Mr. Jay Mueller. Mr. Nebraska, Kansas, Mr. Donald Rumsfeld, Mr. Senator McCain, John F. McCain, Senator McCain, and also the following judges' administration office that are built on the counter services that they have. Documentation is original and slurred, and there is no slurring, and there's no covenants of rebilling or retaliation. The service they carry, a COVID-19 policy regulation service, is original document. George Washington House is number 42. EPHRATA, Washington. EPHRATA Courthouse, 56th Street Northwest. Schultz Tabor Wallace is administration officer and direct services for his bar association. Washington State Bar Association is 33509. Mr. Sackman at Hemlock and Othello, Washington, his is 1169. Or go figure. 33509 has intercepted Mr. Sackman on the Washington Bar Association on Klamath, Cincinnati, carry the COVID-19 policy regulation services. Birth certificate, place of birth, Nebraska, and the date of birth, Richland, Washington, 8:41 a.m. Father's name. So, close and disclosure information of the back in the 60s and the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, and World War I, World War II. Changing over the passing hands administration office and keeping administrating direct deposits. These graves are deposit inquiries, pretty much like vaults, like safe, direct deposits, EFT transaction, manufacturer records, work history, labor history, ownerships, indemnities, liabilities, coverage, services. It basically said this is Texas and also Nebraska, and the services, the gravesite's been put in the increments of society for endowment. Pretty sad, Mr. Andy Miller, prosecutor, Washington State. He's been in the service for all his life. University of Washington, Mr. Andy Miller, the prosecutor, and I'm also Mrs. Andy Miller, Mrs. J. Miller, and Amy Miller, and Amy Miller and Felix Barela, of course, and Mr. Donald Rumsfeld. His service carrying Kansas, Nebraska, and is intangible to services and the documents that they deserve. He's been lowered along with Mr. Senator McCain and off the Department of Defense, Department of Justice, Department of Defense, and also Mr. Kavanaugh, Brent Kavanaugh, was endowed and to become the Chief Justice Executive Judge for the Chief Justice Department, carrying out the service of Mr. Kennedy and the administration officer, which they reside in plentiful in the services increments of the society of being the employee to the society. Please. See, I hear say prosecuting attorney Mr. Andy Miller, January 11, 2016. January 11, 2016, Mr. Andy Miller, prosecutor, Washington State, has an official document pertaining to Mr. Felix Barela and services of his birth in Richland, Washington, partaking service prosecution, liabilities and deeds and services and responsibility. Mr. Andy Miller, prosecutor, Washington State, and Mr. James Manis and admirals, Mr. Miley, United States Army and Department of Defense, Pentagon, Mr. Felix Barela and service military service document. It's pretty original document. It is original document. The services, ownership services, as we speak. Mr. Felix Barela, and has a UBI number 602-720-979. Official signature Randy Miller, Prosecutor Administration. Liability of service Mr. Felix Barela at birth and left at Tri-State held as a child. And their services and income to society, Crooked Society, Nebraska and Texas, is right here. Kansas City, Nebraska, Colorado, North Colorado, Butte, Billings, Montana, Montana, Walker's County, Montana. This is services of Custer's Last Stand. George Washington, increments of Mr. Original George Washington's house. The mother's maiden name, first name, and last name, and also the filing date. Fee services, which is paid in full. And we got a mausoleum with Mueller. And Mueller carries the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and service to the T. Mr. Mueller. Mr. J. Mueller. Take a little walk, Mr. J. Mueller. We're gonna have a little chat. Who and what and when and where and what and when and where and what and when, how, you know. All kinds of questions, you know. People have all kinds of questions about Donald Trump, George Bush, Senator McCain. No, we got all kinds of nosy people coming in here and trying to push and shove their way into a society of a better themselves and increments to society. You know, Mr. Donald Trump, he's in his 70s. Come on now. But he's at top of his game and his knowledge, his comprehension, his delinquency of supposedly distraughted and railroaded and set up in such a way that he's doing a lawsuit on Facebook and Twitter and so forth. First name, last name, it's on Facebook. You know, yeah, Lola Hernandez took down many people and adversaries and services in the society, and still to this day. You got USS Chicago missile cruiser, and that's the USS Chicago Tomahawk missile cruiser. You got names, addresses, UBI numbers, business offices, inconsistent society that carry out the COVID-19 policy, regulation, and service to best and to fit and better themselves in increments of any kind of tangible evidence that's occurred and exposed to society, legal and by sections, and everything done by hand, and everything that's been exposed to society has been and still has repercussions for the society that counter terrorism, acts of treason, proclamation of government, Abraham Lincoln, Ben Franklin, and many, much more inconsistent to the society that carry the society administration office. And brothers, sisters, siblings, you know, from birth There's pretty self-explanatory, coming out of the vagina and exposed the Tri-State Herald, left outside, and the Tri-State Herald out of the vagina, and it's supposed to be in the hospital. Mr. Mueller, J. Mueller and services they have. You know, the society to carry the COVID-19 policy regulations and still trying to tamper with the administration office in any way, shape, and form. And who you are, what you are, Facebook, YouTube, your driver record, your license, your military ID, military document, military active document. If I write things down there is not true, put your first name, last name, initial, it's all good because that's who you are and it's what it is. Yeah, services, Mr. Mueller. 1992. So driver license abstract record, Felix Barela. Come to find out. 1914, 1917, and 1998, 1992. Look at it's Mr. Felix Barela himself. Huh? COVID-19 policy regulations, service. Most powerful man in the world, Mr. Andy, prosecutor, 509-735-3591, fax, 509-736-306. The most powerful man in the world, Mr. James Norman Manus. Native Admirals, of course, their service increments to society. The document, original document of services, implying their increments of society and itself and ownerships and identities, UBI number 602-720-979. SOS WAGA, of course, Mrs. Secretary of State Kim Wayman. 801 Capitol Way, South P.O. Box 40234-0234, SOS WAGOV Corps. And that's Secretary of State Kim Wayman. Service income to society. Schultz Tower Wallace, 50. That's 56 East Street, Northwest, P.O. Box 876. Freda Watch 98823. Phone number is 509-754-5264. Fax 509-754-5835. No, animal is the most powerful man on the planet still, to this day. Now, Schultz Tablis Wallace, he's the lawyer, Kenneth W. Chadwick, Bar Association 33509. Andy Miller, Prosecutor, Washington State, 509-735-3591, fax 509-736-3066. Society carry the increments of society with expansion. Society, the turnover rate has been COVID-19. Mr. Donald Trump, the executive primary election, and also the voting, August 3rd. You come in, sign in, fill your ballot form out, in person. So this is George Washington. This is originally number 42 at C Street, Northwest P.O. Box, and that's Schultz Tower Wallace, Attorneys at Law, 5060 Street, Northwest, P.O. Box 876, EPHRATA, Washington 98823. 519-754-5264, fax 519-754-5835. www.wallaclawfirm.com. Andy Miller at CO Benton, Washington 519-735-3591, 736-3066. Andy, ANDY.MILLER at CO Benton, Washington, U.S. Ms. J. Mueller, administration, father, brothers, sisters, siblings, and Moon Janabak and Don Trump in the services, increase for the society of growing up in the services of the untangible and the real thing.